In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys everything wrong with this Ram 1500 that I just picked up. Alright guys, and welcome back to today's video. So if you guys don't know, we just recently picked this up. It's still been less than a week. Picked it up earlier this week, this Ram 1500. It is the most base truck that you could possibly imagine. It is nice that it has the express, I guess, package on it. So it has the color match bumpers, color match grille. It did have 20s on it at some point, but we'll get into that in just a second. And then working our way around, it also has the color match bumpers with dual exit exhaust. So it's got the express package, but that's about where the good stuff on this ends. It has really low mileage. So if you guys don't know, we picked this thing up 2014 Ram 1500. It's got the 5.7 liter Hemi. It's got the 8-speed, and it only has about 40. Well, when we picked it up, it only had about 47,000 miles on the clock. So one other nice thing is it does have the quad headlights instead of just the standard single ones. But as far as different stuff and issues with this, I've said it in a few videos or a couple of videos that we've made on this truck. Here is the good, bad, and the ugly. These tires are definitely good, bad, and ugly. They are the Linglong brand. I have never heard of Linglongs. I thought it was a joke. But yes, they are Linglong tires. I just finished driving this truck all the way from Texas to Florida on Linglongs, and how I'm still alive, I don't know, because I don't trust these tires whatsoever. They're weather cracked. I don't know what the date is on. I don't think the date stamp is that old. If you guys don't know, you can check the date stamp on tires. So they're from 2017. So I guess they're 5 years old at this point, which isn't crazy old, but definitely not new. And there are not a name brand tire or well-known name brand tire, so these definitely have to be changed. Good news is that I think I found something that I might go pick up tomorrow as of the making of this video. Hopefully that all works out. I also do want to get a drag pack setup for this, but that's definitely one issue with this. The other thing too is it looks like somebody at some point took these emblems off the door because they are not aligned, and my OCD has to have this correct. You can see that normally this 0 here would be over and in line with the ends, but somebody shortened it up and it's like, I don't know, almost a ½ inch off at the end. So normally I would probably just plastic zip them, leave them in place, but in this case I'm going to take these off. And then the other thing too is this mirror. This mirror has a very budget, I don't even know, somebody tried to replace it, or it's almost like they put tape over top of it and then just like put fiberglass or something. I don't even know if I should leave whatever friggin' junk is on here right now, but anyways, it's not a big deal because we can easily replace these mirrors, and these mirrors are just base model mirrors. They have no power, no heat, no nothing, so I'm really not upset about the mirrors. The other, I guess you can call it problem, it's almost annoying in today's world, but it has manual door locks, so there's no power door locks. You can see here normally there'd be window switches and all kinds of switches here, but it is just, you gotta lock it and unlock it, and you gotta use the key every time. And you also can see that it is crank windows. So I don't know, I've talked to some people, they've said that, and I thought maybe, hey, since it's got crank windows, manual windows, and no door locks, that it might be lighter. According to the few guys that I've talked to, they said that this setup is actually heavier, believe it or not. I'll definitely verify that once I get everything, but they're saying that the manual, I guess, windows are heavier because there's some big arm for the crank on this, whereas the actual power one just has a tiny little motor. Whether that's true or not, whatever components come out of the store when we convert it to power, I'll weigh those, and then I'll weigh whatever we're putting in. Also, like I said, I do want to get some power door locks on this thing, and since it doesn't have any power, you get this funny looking Ram key that I've never seen before, but this is how you got to open the door. Old school, pop the lock and get in. So Definitely not an end of the world, but just not something you're used to. As far as the steering and stuff like that, you get very basic materials in here. It's nice that they optioned for carpet, because a very base model tradesman would have plastic flooring. I think even the seats might be a step above like super basic model, but I don't mind the seats, and they're in, since it's low mileage, they're in fairly good shape. Kind of cool if you guys have ever seen, it has like those honeycombs, the same as on the grill of the truck, same as the honeycombs that are here on the door sill. And like I mentioned, they match on the grill, which is kind of cool right there. So it's got the same honeycomb theme throughout. But yeah, you get like this just regular rubber steering wheel instead of the nicer material one. The dash doesn't have like the full screen in there that the last few had, and you guys have seen my Eco Diesel Laramie truck that's got like a massive screen in the middle. The other funny thing, this is the biggest selling point. So if it didn't have this knob on the dash with the 8-speed transmission, definitely wouldn't have gotten this truck. But since it's so clean and low mileage for our project, obviously it made sense. You'll also notice here, it's got the buttons on the steering wheel. It's got cruise control. This is where you can change your gear for the 8-speed transmission, which is definitely going to be helpful for us in racing purposes. This is where you go through this tiny little menu on the screen, but these two are blank. This is where, if the truck actually, believe it or not, if it had Bluetooth, it would be right here, so you can do the voice command stuff, but it is blank. I couldn't believe it. I thought, you know, having a 2014 and all the other 2014s I thought it would be new enough to have Bluetooth. Believe it or not, this truck does not have Bluetooth. I couldn't figure out, unless you had an auxiliary cord, I can't figure out a way to sync my phone to this thing. So what I did for now is I've just been using this little FM adapter thing. If you guys have seen this, I used it on the Dodge Viper. I had, you know, my 2000 Dodge Viper, which definitely doesn't have Bluetooth. I use this little guy so that it transmits an FM signal that I pick up on here, and this syncs to my phone. If you guys are curious about this, whatever, I'll link it. I don't care if you guys go to it or not, but just in case anybody asks. The ignition is really weird. So it's got this little thing in it that you slide the key into before you turn it and start it. So that's kind of strange. Also, you'll notice it doesn't have any overhead map lights. It's just got this big blank. The nice thing is, again, this truck is in super good shape. It doesn't have any staining or dirt on this headliner, so I can probably just pick up the console and then just cut this where it needs to be, and we can insert that in that. I don't know if this thing is equipped with the wiring for the overhead console, or whether we have to get the wiring harness to go up there, but we'll figure that out as well. The mirror is just a standard mirror, doesn't have any auto dimming feature or nothing like that, and obviously that carries over to the mirrors. No auto dimming, no power, no heated mirrors, no nothing. You guys ever seen behind the seats on this? It's kind of cool. They got like this little plastic tub thing. Again, same theme throughout. It's got this honeycomb tray in it, which is kind of cool. Everything again is in very good shape. Going back to how base model this is, doesn't have any rear sliding window. You know, the higher end models like my Laramie has a power rear sliding window. This doesn't have anything though. So the only light in this truck when you jump in is just this guy here. So it really doesn't have any lighting. Like, that's the only light we get. So you guys definitely know I'll be upgrading that and making a video on it so that we have some decent lighting in here, because obviously it's daytime right now, but when it comes to be nighttime, that doesn't do hardly anything in here. You can barely see what you're doing when you jump in here. As you would also expect with this model, no power seats, no lumbar. Just got the manual bar here to adjust the seat, and same with the passenger side. And then moving on to this side, same deal. No locks, no nothing, no anything. Also, you guys probably noticed there was no mirror adjustment or anything over there. So again, manual mirror on this side. Manual for the seat, as you can expect. Somebody took the jack, the spare jack from this, so I just threw the one from the Eco Diesel underneath here, so at least I have one when I'm traveling. No upper glove box, which I might actually do this mod for you guys. I do have big plans for this truck. I do want to see if I can dash swap it, since you guys really like that when I did that with the Dakota. So I might do a dash swap on this, but I think in the interim I might still try to find an upper glove box just to show you guys that mod. Obviously you can see it's got the jump seat, so it's got like the third seat where you can have a third person sit in here, but I know a lot of guys like to see the center console stuff, so if I come across one, I might end up probably doing that as well for you guys. And this was new to me because I've never had a 4th gen single cab, but this is this little cubby tray thing. So that's that. I think the biggest thing though is just not the fact not having Bluetooth when you're driving around. Like, that's such a, I don't know, it's such a standard thing today in today's vehicles, but doesn't have Bluetooth, so that seems to be the, like, all this other stuff, it's not really a big deal, you guys. I'm just kind of going over the base model aspect of this truck. But the Bluetooth thing, even though it doesn't have like a premium stereo, I don't really care about the sound quality, which is another thing we'll probably get into. But it's just the fact that it doesn't even have Bluetooth to connect to. Can't play music, can't answer the phone, and today's world, you're not really supposed to be driving with your phone, unless you got hands free to try to answer your phone. So it's kind of an issue. Other thing is, I don't know if it has speakers up here. It's got the grill for it, so I'd be curious to pop this panel off at some point to see if it actually has a speaker up there. I know when you get the premium sound system, it'll have a speaker up in here, which definitely doesn't have the grill for it. So we could probably install the third speaker up in the center there and get some better sound quality in here too. Another thing with this truck is you'll notice somebody at some point tried to seal this with like some nasty sealant, which is all dried up and falling off. So not a big deal. I'm glad that somebody addressed the issue and didn't just let it leak. But at the same time, whatever they use is disgusting, and I'm gonna have to remove that. So not a big issue, but something that I'm gonna have to fix. And if you haven't seen all the other videos, we do have the backflip tonneau cover. So it's the hard cover. Super happy with this. I put one on my 5'7" box on my EcoDiesel, and ever since I did that, like, I don't think I could go back to not having one of these, because the fact that you can have a locking tailgate, it's sealed, it keeps the elements out, it's also insulated. You can put a bunch of stuff back here, which is super cool. And if you guys don't know, I have a Mopar version of this on my EcoDiesel, but I swear it's made by Backflip. Only difference I can find is it just has a Mopar logo here instead of this Backflip logo there. And for our purposes, that we're gonna try to take this thing and go fast with it, another downfall is it has a 321 gear ratio in the back, which is definitely not something to go fast with. And it also, I don't even know if it has a limited slip. So I mentioned in the last video, I do have a fully built axle. It's in my EcoDiesel. We're gonna be doing a bunch of switcheroos later once we get settled in, and I'll end up putting that fully built axle with the 355 and the Detroit True Track in it with brand new axle shafts. Will go into this, so we'll have a built axle. But another down point on this thing. I noticed too that on the build sheet when I pulled it up, it didn't have a trailer hitch, but you'll see here somebody installed a U-Haul trailer hitch. So I don't know if we should leave this. It's kind of cool, the fact that we could technically tow with it, but I think at some point I might take it off unless for some reason I need to use this to tow something with. But even then, I don't think the capacity is as high as the actual factory one. I could be wrong, but figured I'd show you guys what it's got as well. Another thing actually wrong with this, I know the other things have been kind of petty, but oddly enough, my last not my last one, but I guess one of the 2014s that I purchased, the one that actually kind of kicked off the whole channel, this was acting up where it wouldn't, work through the various settings, and I had to take it apart, and I actually fixed it. I cleaned up the contacts and made it work. Right now, it only works on auto function. If I turn it in any other function other than auto, it just automatically turns the headlights on. Like you can see there, right there should be off, and instead it's turning the headlights on. You can see right there, and I don't have any control over anything. So it would be nice to be able to just run running lights, but this thing just automatically wants to turn the headlights on. So I'm gonna have to yank this switch and see if I can clean up the contacts. If not, I'm gonna have to buy one of these switches. And if you have this problem by chance, I do have a video on this channel showing you how to remove this and fix it. I'll link it above as well, and I might actually tackle it right now too. All right, here's under the hood, you guys. Super basic, no issues, which, this is a good clean slate to start with, something that's, hasn't been tampered with. One thing that I do want to do, and it would be fairly simple to do here on early, is to eliminate the mechanical fan and put the electrical fan. So I'll probably end up tackling that in the next week or so, I would imagine. Only thing is I actually pray that I'm able to get off the mechanical fan off of our water pump pulley and that's not stuck on there. Also, one thing I wish I noticed was that there is a little chip with a little bit of spidering off on the actual windshield. So wish I noticed that initially. I don't think it happened on the drive down, but you can probably see, hopefully you can see right there, it's got a little crack with some spidering. I think if I probably order one of those fill kits off Amazon, I can probably not have to do anything with it, but kind of sucks since it is a factory Mopar windshield. I would like to replace it with a factory one, but you guys all know the factory one's more expensive than aftermarket glass. So interestingly, even though it has a really basic stereo on it, and obviously it's got the FM antenna over there, I'm still noticing that it has the GPS antenna on the roof. So I don't know if they just wire these things and provision them to have all the features, but this thing definitely doesn't have no GPS, and it definitely doesn't have anything other than AM FM, but yet it's got that little antenna there, but it does still have your standard antenna over there. So I'm actually gonna pop this out. I just popped open the side panel so I can get my hand in the back so I'm not prying on the face of it. And I want to take this apart and see if the contacts are all dirty like my last one was. All right, so one thing off the list, you guys, so check it out. So it's right, you guys saw 2 seconds ago it would ding when I put it into off. And if I turn it to running lights, it comes on. If I turn it to off, it actually turns off. And I verified, if I put running lights and I go over here, my headlights aren't on, just my ambers. If I turn it to headlights on, our headlights come on with our ambers, and of course off is off. So let me show you what I did real quick. So there's 4 Phillips screws on the back. You just remove them. I already got 2 of them out just because I was testing it. So let me take out the other 2 and I'll show you underneath. So here we are. Once you open it up, those little pads make contact with over here. So there was a ton of dielectrical grease, or at least what you would assume is dielectrical grease. And what I noticed is, I don't know, there's 2 combinations of things that I did. If you'll see here, these contacts right there, in between, so the actual like copper goldish looking part, that's where it makes contact with on these little pads. You'll see them kind of scraped a little bit. I noticed that a couple of them, I don't know if you can see, but the brake, the line that's in between, it looked like the metal had dragged over and was connecting them right here. So I took a flat and just kind of scraped the metal that looked like it might have been connecting the 2. And I also, what I did was I lifted these up a little bit to apply more contact pressure on here. So that's all I did, and then I wiped off with a blue rag. I wiped off all the, I assume would be dielectrical grease, but maybe it's just poor quality stuff, and then reassembled it, and now she works. So I'm gonna put these 4 screws back in, and we'll double check it, but she's back in order. All right, well, the 4 screws are back in. Same thing, she's back in order. Off is off. Running lights, headlights, and back to off. So we're good to go, you guys. I can literally just push this thing back in and she's back in business. So here you have it, guys. Those are all the quirks that are wrong with this truck. Like I said, some of them aren't necessarily wrong, but just things that we're going to improve upon. Comment down below what you're most excited to see. If you guys don't know, this thing is going to get hellcat swapped eventually, but we're going to be doing a bunch of cool stuff and upgrades to this truck before we finally get that point, or get to that point, I should say. We've already got the hellcat swap sitting here ready to go. Not physically here, but we have it. It's already in our possession. You guys have probably seen it if you've been with the channel for a little while. So we have the full swap already. It's in storage or in the process of moving, but we do have it. But then once it comes time, we'll drop that in. This thing's gonna be a monster. So comment what you're most excited to see, or which you want to see in the meantime. We're gonna be doing a bunch of small, easy mods while we're in the process of moving. So let me know which one you guys are most excited about. Comment down below what you guys think of all this stuff, and we'll see you guys on the next video.